On today's video, we're going to go over some spinning reel basics. Hey there, outdoor YouTubers. It's Dave Knetter from Knetter's Practical Outdoors. And you know, for you guys out there that are just getting started in fishing, or maybe a few of you guys out there have a few questions about spinning reels, we're just going to start from the beginning, okay? What is a spinning reel? Well, this is a spinning reel, okay? They come in a lot of different sizes, right? Got a few of them here, a little bit bigger one, maybe a medium-sized one, small one, you know. Just like any other reels, they come in different sizes. But there's a few unique things about a spinning reel. First of all, they have this open face. You know, the spool is kind of open. They have a bail that opens and closes for reeling the line in or letting the line out. And another kind of unique thing about a spinning reel, as opposed to other styles of reels, is that the reel hangs down below your hand, below the pole when you're using it. Okay, not like this. Okay, this is wrong. You know, this is upside down. You hold it like this, you'd have to reel backwards. That's bad. You don't want to be that guy. So the spinning reel hangs down below the pole like this. Okay, and that's a little different than some of the other styles of reels. You know, here we got a bait caster. This one sits on top of the pole. Same thing with these Spincasts. They sit on top of the pole. Got an example here. You know, here's a bait caster. You know, these sit upright like this. And here's a Spincast. Same thing. They sit upright like this. So those are some of the main differences between a spinning reel like this and a Spincast reel or a bait caster reel like this. So, why would we use a spinning reel over some of the other options we have as far as fishing reels? Well, one thing that makes spinning reels very popular is their versatility, okay? And when I say that they have a lot of versatility, it doesn't mean that they're the best option for all fishing situations. It just means that they do cover a wide variety of different fishing situations, okay? You can fish for panfish, you can fish for bass, pike, walleye, that sort of thing. You can fish with lures. You can cast light lures, you can cast heavy lures, you can cast medium-sized lures. You can fish with live bait. They work well with live bait. You can troll with a spinning reel. So they really cover a lot of different fishing situations. You know, as opposed to like this bait caster like this one, you know, these bait caster styles, they're very popular with muskie, pike fishermen. They're extremely popular with like the serious bass fishermen that are maybe catching a little bit bigger bass. And there's good reason for it, okay? For one thing, bait casters are probably a little bit better at casting heavier pound test line. So that just kind of makes them inherently better at catching a little heavier fish. And bait casters are also a very powerful reel, okay? And that's just a good thing when you're fishing for a little bit bigger fish too. And by a powerful reel, I mean the orientation of the spool with the gears and the crank, they're all kind of lined up in a way that it really makes efficient use of the power of the reel. You know, if you think about it, these bait casters, they almost look like a winch, you know, that you might see on the front of a pickup truck or on an ATV, right? You'd never design a winch with the spool orientated like this and have a mechanism going around and winding the wire rope onto the winch like that. There'd just be so much mechanical loss in doing it that way. Now bait casters like this one, they're a little trickier to cast, okay? You guys have heard of the dreaded bird nests and stuff. You do get those on occasions with these bait casters. So it takes a little bit more practice to get good at casting these. And you know, another thing, bait casters like this one are not really that great at casting really light lures. Okay, you're probably not going to be out on a trout stream and see like a trout fisherman pitching around a little teeny spinner like this with a bait caster. That's much more suited for a spinning reel, or like these little Rapalas like this, really light little Rapalas that can kind of catch the wind and almost stop in midair. These aren't really where bait casters shine. That's really where spinning reels are a much better option. Another style of reel are these spin cast reels. Okay, some guys call them closed face reels because they kind of have this cover, over the spool. Some guys call them push button reels because you actually push this button to cast. And a lot of times these are looked upon as fishing reels for kids, and rightfully so. This was the first style of reel that I ever fished with. The push button design for casting does make them very easy to cast, so I think that lends itself to new fishermen or younger fishermen, that sort of thing. Now, just because these reels might be the easiest to cast doesn't mean that they're the best casting. Okay, and I'll kind of show you what I mean. If you open one up, you'll see the spool. It's kind of orientated the same way that it is on a spinning reel. Okay, so the line has to come off of the spool up and over this lip of the spool, but then on these spin cast reels it immediately gets funneled through this one single hole in the cover of the reel. Okay, so what happens is the line has to kind of come up and over the spool and then down and then through this single hole in the cover. So there's a lot of friction to overcome as you're casting these, and that's going to limit your casting distances. And having said all that, I did meet a guy who's a pretty serious walleye fisherman, and he fishes for walleyes a lot late into the fall. He casts from shore and he'll fish right up until ice up on the lakes. And he told me, he's casting these lures around late at night, right up till ice up. And he told me how he always fishes with these spin cast reels, with the push button reels. And I asked him, I said, well, why do you do that? Why do you use, the push button reels? And it was kind of a very simple answer. And the answer was, he said, I can cast them with really heavy gloves on. The push button design really lends itself to just having a big heavy glove on. All you got to do is push the button, go back to cast, and as you're casting, you release the button, and the line free flows out. And he said it's much easier with heavy gloves on to cast these spin cast reels. And I really thought that was kind of interesting, almost genius. I'd never thought of that. So I guess don't dismiss the spin cast reels as only for kids. There's some situations where they might be better than you think. So getting back to the spinning reels, okay? If a person's looking for versatility, flexibility, ease of casting, and just general overall performance, spinning reels really are your best option. Okay, so let's talk about some of the basics of spinning reels. All right, first of all, spinning reels belong on spinning reel poles, and I'll kind of show you what I mean. Because spinning reels kind of hang down below your hand, below the pole, the poles are designed a little bit differently. Okay, and I'll show you what I mean here too. Like this bait caster, because it sits upright, a lot of times they have this trigger built into the pole, and that trigger is something to hold on to when you're reeling, something to hold on to when you're casting it, that sort of thing. Okay, now a spinning reel, you don't need that trigger, right? Because this stem comes off this base right here, and that actually acts as a really good gripping point, just kind of built in, right? So you don't really need a trigger on this. Another thing that's a little bit different with a spinning reel pole is that these first few line guides are oftentimes going to be quite a bit bigger than they would on a bait casting pole or a spin cast pole. Okay? Because on the bait casters or the spin casters, the line comes off in just such a small area that this guide can be kind of small, okay? As opposed to the spinning reel, where the line kind of comes off in a bigger area. There's a bigger footprint of where the line comes off. You want these bigger guides to just kind of gently taper that line down as it's coming off on the cast, okay? Whereas on a spin cast reel like this, it's already tapered down into a narrow spot. Same thing with this bait caster. It really just comes off of right here, so it's already tapered down to a narrow spot. So the line guides can be quite small initially. Okay, so spinning reels go on spinning reel poles, right? That's kind of how they're designed. That's how it's supposed to be. And I'll show you what it looks like when you don't do it like that. And I got to tell you, I had a hard time putting this reel on this pole, even if it was just for this demonstration. It really made me cringe to do this. But as you can see, if you were to grab this like this, you know, with the spinning reel hanging down how it's supposed to be, this trigger would gouge into the palm of your hand, right? And of course that would not be ideal. And then you remember this, right? You wouldn't want to do it like this and reel backwards either. This would be terrible, okay? Again, don't be this guy, all right? And also, you can kind of see this line, like I say, it comes off at all these different angles, this big footprint of where the line can come off when you're casting, and you see it kind of necks down to this small little line guide, because this pole is not designed for this reel. You've got kind of a severe angle right here, and that would diminish your casting distance. So just this whole setup is wrong, not good, not ideal. Stay away from this setup. Now that we have the correct pole for our spinning reel, we need to go ahead and put some appropriate line on that spinning reel. Okay? Now, we could go on and on for hours about all the different types of line and all the different pound tests of line that can be used for all the different fishing situations that are out there, right? Like I say, we could go on and on for hours. That would probably be more like a movie instead of just a video, you know, if we wanted to touch on all of that. So just for general overall fishing, you know, your basic overall fishing with spinning reels, a good option is monofilament. Okay, I know I like to use monofilament on a lot of my spinning gear, and I also do use some of the low diameter super lines like Berkeley Fireline. That's also another really good option for spinning gear. Okay, now the pound test that you use is very dependent on the size of the fish you expect to catch, right? You know, a good rule of thumb is to go with a little heavier pound test than the size of the fish you expect to catch, right? If you're fishing for panfish and you expect them to top out at maybe 1 or 2 pounds maximum, using 4-pound test would be a good option. If you're fishing for bass or walleyes that are maybe topping out at 5 to 8 pounds, you know, maybe using 10-pound test would be a good option for those kinds of fish. Now, of course, the bigger the fish, you know, generally speaking, you're going to want to go with a higher pound test. Now, as far as putting line on a spinning reel, okay, I did a video about that. Okay, if you go to my channel, Knetter's Practical Outdoors, the video is called Putting Line on a Spinning Reel, right? You know, that's a real creative title I came up with. But that really tells you all you need to know about putting line on a spinning reel. So when you go ahead to actually put the line on a spinning reel, go to that video and that'll show you everything you need to know. Alright, now that we've got the right pole for our spinning reel and we've got some appropriate line on our spinning reel, let's talk about the drag system. Okay, and the drag system is nothing more than the ability of the reel to allow the line to be pulled out back while you're fighting a fish, right? You're fighting a fish, the fish creates a lot of tension, and the drag system allows that fish to take line out backwards, okay? That's really all we're talking about there. You know, if you think about it, initially, as you're fighting a fish, the fish puts a lot of tension initially on your rod, okay? But if that fish puts more tension than maybe the rod can handle, you want your drag to allow that line to be pulled back out, as opposed to letting the fish break the line, okay? And, you know, how loose or how tight you make your drag is very dependent on the pound test that's on your spinning reel to begin with, right? Heavier pound test, you can go with a little heavier drag setting. Really light pound test, you're going to want to go lighter so the fish won't break it. So really what you're trying to do is you're trying to create enough tension to wear that fish out where you can reel it in a reasonable amount of time, okay? You could set it really super loose, but then the fish could run all over the place and maybe get you hung up in some weeds or some sticks or something. But you could set the drag really tight, and that might give the fish an opportunity to break the line. Okay, so you kind of want to set it somewhere in between systems. Like on this particular reel, the adjustment knob is right here on the top of the spool. And you would turn this counterclockwise or clockwise to loosen or tighten the drag, depends on the model. On this particular spinning reel, the drag adjustment is found on the back. Those are generally the two places they're found. So anyways, there's a quick little overview of setting the drag on a spinning reel. You know, another feature that a lot of these spinning reels have is the ability to put the crank on either side. Okay, this particular model, all you do is undo this little nut. Just back that off. Okay, the crank pulls right out. Put it on the other side. And then just turn that nut down on this side. Tighten it down, and there you go. So, like I say, a lot of them do have this feature where the crank can go on either side. Okay, we've got the right pull, we've got the right line, and we've got the right drag setting. Now we can go ahead and we can cast our spinning reel. Okay? And they're fairly simple to cast. All we want to do is reel our bait up so it's just within a few inches of the tip of the pole, and we want to turn this so our bail is up right at 12 o'clock. We want that line to be up high so we can grab it with our finger, open the bail, and now we're going to bring the pole back, and as we're casting it forward, we're going to let this line go, and then the line is free flowing off the spool, and if we do it correctly, our bait will shoot out into the water where we want it to go. Okay? It's fairly simple, takes a little bit of practice, but like I say, it's pretty simple to do. So then when you want to reel your line back in, you just go ahead, you start turning the crank, and the bail automatically closes, and it starts gathering the line back up on the spool. Now, me personally, I like to hand close my bail and just give the line a little bit of a pull, make sure it's nice and tight, and then start reeling. And that really helps to eliminate line twists from developing. Now, one other basic feature that most spinning reels have is an on-off for the anti-reverse. Okay, and the anti-reverse is just the feature of not letting your reel spin backwards. See, on this one, I can't spin it backwards. I can only turn it forward until I flip this lever, and now I can spin it backwards. Okay. I turn the lever on, I'm putting the anti-reverse on, now I can't spin it backwards. And that's just something to keep in mind. I know me personally, I like to have the anti-reverse on almost all the time. It helps, you know, hooking fish. In case your hand slips off the crank as you're hooking a fish, the reel might spin backwards and you wouldn't get as good a hook set. But sometimes if you're fighting a fish, you may want to flip that anti-reverse off, and you might want to reel backwards a little bit if that fish is making a good run, you know. Maybe kind of use that along with your drag system to kind of keep that fish from breaking your line. So that's just another basic feature that most spinning reels have. Like I say, on this one, the lever is right here for the anti-reverse on-off. On this one, it's here. You know, this particular reel, it's just something back here. But it's a basic feature that most of them have. So anyways, there's a quick overview on some spinning reel basics. You know, I hope this helps you out when you're out fishing. And also, remember to hunt, fish, laugh, repeat. This is Dave Knetter from Knetter's Practical Outdoors. Hey, thanks for watching, and God bless.